Hey, I need to take an artemisinin, and I'm a huge dork about pills, even though I take like 117 of them a day. So I'm going to take my artemisinin, and then blabby blab blab about. I saw my Lyme specialist on Tuesday, so there have been some changes and some new information, blah blah blah. I seriously am like the wussiest at taking pills. It's been like another like sort of stroke of karma how many I have to take. Okay, so I saw my doctor on Tuesday, my specialist, my LLMD or LLD, if you will, and you know, went in with a huge list of herxing symptoms, most of them being pretty normal, with the exception of I hadn't seen a lot of blindness, like my herkin and jerkin and my convulsions. I've seen a lot of people sort of have those, and the oral and visual hallucinations, I've seen a lot of people have those and read a lot, but I hadn't read a lot about blindness, and here's what she thinks happened for those of you to whom this happened. She thinks that because I sort of went off my meds that weekend, and because my meds are on a set schedule and some of them have a set amount of water and stuff, she thinks that I didn't drink my normal amount of water, and that while traveling with in a car with no air conditioning in the wind and having additional stress on my body, you know, just having to function and do something, I should have not only had my normal amount of water, but I should have had twice the amount. So she thinks, she said a whole bunch of, I should have written them down and I didn't, but she said a whole bunch of Latin terms for basically dehydration that causes something in your brain to shut off your optic nerve. And it's not really dehydration, because people in that sort of state, and in sort of a herxing state even, it's not like we necessarily wouldn't pee or sweat in a sauna or something like that, but with us, dehydration is a totally different thing, just because our hydration level has to match our toxicity level. And if the drugs are in our system causing things to die, which is what we ideally want, then you know, our toxicity level is going to be high, and our water level needs to at least match or exceed that. It can't exceed it so much that our drugs run straight through our system. So we have to be really careful with how we monitor our fluids, is basically what I'm saying. So if it happens again, you know, I'm to be in the hospital, she said. And I have had my sight diminished in the last couple of days, but I haven't gone blind in the same way that I did last Sunday. So she believes that it was dehydration. Also, because my neurological symptoms were getting sort of gross, she prescribed neurontin, gabapentin, which is people who have epilepsy take it in conjunction with other drugs, and people, I guess they don't really know what effect it has on the brain, but they used to prescribe it to people that had epilepsy, but then they'd find that in some cases it had like a mood lifting effect, and so then they started giving it to bipolar and depressives, and it also is supposed to eliminate nerve pain and a lot of like my facial pain, and you know, you never really want to be twitchy in public, but if you have to be, the best time is in your doctor's office, and I really lucked out on Tuesday. I mean, I was having I very lovingly and jokingly call it Ray Charlesing. I mean, I was twitching all over the place, and so the fact that she got to see it means that she's more likely to offer me relief, because, you know, even with doctors, seeing is believing. So the blindness is, she thinks dehydration. And let's see what else has happened. Oh, so I started taking the neurontin, like immediately, like Wednesday night. And because I have had a past history of sensitivity to medicines, especially those that might change your brain chemistry or your hormones, I was very, very paranoid about starting this medicine. I've started about a mazillion new medicines in the last year, and very few of them caused me to like have any anxiety. Although some of my anxiety comes from the fact that I came from a very homeopathic family. So we already were sort of resistant to traditional methods, and now I'm like creaming myself with antibiotics every day, and yeah. So anyway, it caused me to freak out. Now, my body was already in like a nervous panic state for days. I was jumpy and had a high level of anxiety. So I can't totally blame it on the medicine, but I know the medicine triggered a panic attack. So Wednesday night, you're supposed to take it, even if my circadian rhythm is totally flopped, and my sleeping has been very strange for a very long time. But I say a lot. If I could edit that out, then these videos would be a lot shorter. But so anyway, I'm still supposed to take this medicine, the Neurontin, at like 10:30 or 11 at night. So I took it at 11, but I was having a massive panic attack. And by midnight, I was very sleepy. It's supposed to maybe initially make you sleepy, and I wasn't sure. I watched some videos on YouTube and read some articles that said on some people it has an opposing effect where they're up and it's like a form of speed. It made me very sleepy the first night, Wednesday night, and did put me out. I mean, I went to sleep at like midnight, but then I think like the second it wore out of my system, I was up because I woke up Thursday morning at 6:30 in the morning and couldn't go back to sleep. So then last night I took it again at like 10:30, and it had a slightly different effect. It didn't make me sleepy. It took a lot longer for it to make me sleepy, and then it made me very euphoric and high. Oh, something else I should say is yesterday day, after taking the Neurontin, I had some of the traditional side effects, not the scary go to the emergency room ones, but I had some fainting. So I think my blood pressure must have been low. My father, when I told him on the phone, said, "Are you sure it wasn't high?" I don't think so. So in the daytime yesterday, I had some fainting goat-like things where I would just swoon and sort of pass out and then be okay, and then I had a high level of like nausea, and I just couldn't hold down any food, but there was nothing so extreme, and there was a general like sort of high feeling, not necessarily a pleasant feeling, but like a disconnected air hunger sort of problem. So we'll see how I do today. But I did take my blood pressure in the grocery store last night, just sort of curious, and it was low, normal to low, so it wasn't like I was having a cardiac event or something like I've had from other stuff in the past. So then, okay, I took it last night. So then the effect it had last night was like sort of a highness, a disconnect, with a lot of air hunger and a lot of, I wanted to talk, my poor boyfriend. And then I didn't fall asleep. So I'd been up since 6:30 in the morning, I didn't fall asleep till 3. And I think the medicine still is what did that, but because I fell asleep like hard. But I was up by 9 this morning. So whenever the medicine leaves my system, I'm up, is what I'm thinking is happening so far. The way gabapentin Neurontin works is that eventually you want to be up to a dose of 300 to 600 milligrams, and your doctor, most doctors, issue them in 100 milligram tablets. So for the first 3 days, because it causes somnolence, which is sleepiness, for the first 3 days, you take 100 milligrams at nighttime, when normal people are supposed to go to bed. Then for the second 3 days, you take 2 pills, 200 milligrams. So you take 200 milligram pills for 3 days. And then for the following 3 days, you take 3 100 milligrams, aka 300 milligrams. And then eventually, if that works out without major issues, you take a dose in the morning too. So you take 2 300s a day, adding up to 600 milligrams. That's the goal. So we'll see what happens. I didn't notice a reduction, well, I shouldn't say that. Yesterday, when I was having other problems that I think were caused by the medication, my knees felt a little bit better, and I wasn't nearly so twitchy. I had to go to rehearsal because we're in Tech Week, which has been sort of rough. This may be my last time on stage for a while, which makes me incredibly sad, but, you know, what are you going to do? So I had to go to rehearsal. But my